This episode of the Nerd Corporation contains spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Nerd Corporation.
What's up, everybody? It's Friday.
Monday.
No, it's Friday.
It's Monday.
No, it's Friday.
But we're recorded on... But it's Monday. Podcast day.
Welcome to a very special bonus episode, Avengers Infinity Spoilers.
If you haven't heard, this is a spoiler-filled episode where we discuss spoilers regarding the Infinity War movie that came out today.
Spoilers.
If you didn't hear that, spoilers. Eddie Lion, tell them in Spanish for all of our Spanish listening people.
Spoilers.
Yes! Now say tacos in Spanish.
Tacos.
Yeah, he did. He's a genius, this one. So yeah, big news. That's our nerd news for the day, since this is our not typical format. Here, Avengers Infinity War dropped last night.
Oh my fucking god.
Eddie Lion and I were there, like, right out the gate, just fucking, two kids, giddy as fuck.
I was so excited. It was just the craziest thing. And it's just like watching all these people come in, and we're just sitting there like, just start the movie already. Just start the movie already.
It couldn't happen fast enough.
It really
I was totally Homer Simpsoning about it. But Marge, the cook-off.
That means the chili cook-off.
That shit was me, dude. Special fucking shout out on top of that real quick. It's my son's birthday today, so happy birthday, even though you won't hear this till Monday. But happy birthday, Nicholas.
Happy birthday.
Avengers Day, Podcast Day, Nikki Day.
Nikki Day.
Nikki Day. Anyway, so we asked people to write in last night and give us their thoughts on it. Luckily, some of our friends had seen the movie and had some opinions. Our boy Johnny Lingo, you know Johnny Lingo.
I do know Johnny Lingo.
Did you battle Johnny Lingo at one point?
No,
or
I didn't.
am I the only one that battled Johnny
I think
Lingo?
you're the only one out of the two of us that battled Johnny Lingo.
I battled Johnny Lingo and I lost. But that's not surprising because I lose a lot of rap battles. So Johnny Lingo wrote in, first off, the comedy. It was funny overall, but there were a few jokes that could have been written better or just cut for special features or deleted scenes. I feel that. I do feel like there were some points when I'm like, we didn't need a joke there. I think mostly like when Thor was getting serious, but then they wrote in a joke.
Right.
I was like, probably didn't need that one. Yeah. Mm-mm. He said, second, the fight scenes, they were good overall. The fight on Titan being the best. The fight in Wakanda was iffy to me. No real Black Panther fight, which is weird. Like, why plan a fight scene there and not give the main fighter a scene? Same with Bucky. I was sure Bucky and Cap would have a dope-ass team fight scene. Also, the only Hulk fight was in the very beginning, and he gets his ass kicked, even though I don't really care for the Hulk. So I'm glad Mark Ruffalo got more screen time. I can agree with that one. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the Black Panther not getting more time?
I agree with it. I haven't seen Black Panther yet, and I need to.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I think Black Panther should have had, he was in Wakanda, so I figured Black Panther would get a little more screen time.
I think for me, realistically, though, like, you have this alien horde coming down. What good are humans, even humans with a little extra edge, gonna do? Like, I think at some point you see Cap and Black Panther get overwhelmed, and that, to me, is what would happen pretty early on, if that were a real fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I just don't see... I see him maybe taking out a couple aliens, but not really what you would think.
Right.
Even though it's obviously a very fictional movie. Third, the ending. I love the end. Yes, I'm a dick. Thanos wins and people start dying off, but what I like about it is that there is no clear ending. It's like, to be continued type of ending. Total cliffhanger. I mean, obviously they can't let the bad guy win, so there will be a part 2, but this could be a standalone movie I would love. I like realistic endings. Other things he liked, Thor's new hammer, axe, Spider-Man's new suit, the scene with Thor and the Guardians. I think anytime Thor and the Guardians interacted, I was in awe.
Yeah, it was It was great dialogue, and the back and forth was just spot on.
Absolutely. And then things that Lingo didn't like. One, the fact that Thor didn't use his new hammer to cut off Thanos' arm. Star-Lord's hypocrisy that cost him the gauntlet. And that Ant-Man wasn't in the movie. All very valid points.
Yep.
As much of a mark as I was for that movie, yeah, I could see that it wasn't a perfect movie by any means, but it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I agree. We have 2 more entries. One from one of our listeners in Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles.
Fillmore McLaurin says, okay. I love the story, the character interaction, mainly between characters who hadn't already interacted. The action, the pacing, the surprises, that ending. I mean, damn. The only negatives would be not showing when and how Thanos got the Power Stone, and what happened to Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek. Hopefully there's an extended cut on Blu-ray, but I love the movie from start to finish. Definitely seeing it at least one more time in theater, if not more.
I actually thought that myself when we got in there. Where were Korg and Meek and Valkyrie? Mm-hmm. Although I did love how the movie started right where Thor Ragnarok left off.
Yeah, and I think that's way cool. And then our buddy Derek Reese here in Logan.
He was there with us. Mm-hmm. He was sitting like 4 seats down, but he was there.
He was there with us, and he says, I loved it. It was huge and ominous. I wish it had a larger cast of character cameos, and CG Banner looked absolutely horrible, but it was amazing aside from that. Yeah, they really didn't put a lot of stock in Mark Ruffalo inside the Hulkbuster armor.
I didn't mind. I mean, you're a man in a suit, and the suit's CG, so they got Thanos right. I was okay with that.
Thanos was amazing, just every single detail on Thanos.
I kept imagining when we first saw him at the end of the first Avengers, where he just kind of turned his head and smiled, and then like seeing where he's at now, like, and imagining the difference between the two.
One of my favorite things was all the insults that were hurled at him. He was
with his nutsack chin,
and then Star-Lord called him Grimace.
Yeah, he did. I think only old heads in the fucking theater got that one, because Grimace isn't really a thing anymore.
It's true.
For those that don't know, Grimace is a big purple gumdrop that used to work for Ronald McDonald back in the day, and yeah, he's big and purple.
It's so
fucking. Side note. Grimace came and saw me in the hospital when I broke my arm with Ronald McDonald. That's how I know the motherfucker.
That's pretty dope.
Because we're boys from Long Beach.
Y'all go back like car seats?
Mm-hmm. That's how we roll. Yeah, I loved... Honestly, the whole tone of the movie was awesome for me. I loved the comedy. Everything was very well balanced.
I agree.
I don't feel like there was any point in the movie where I was overall pissed off at the pacing.
Right.
Like when I saw Justice League, there were points when I was like, God, just move the fuck on already.
Right. Can we get this going, please?
Just keep fucking moving forward. You're turning this whole thing stagnant, and I wish you wouldn't.
Yeah, I think there was definitely, like, the whole movie was my favorite part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think there's one part that I could pick out that I could say was my favorite over everything.
I think that would be really hard to do, especially having only seen it the one time, either of us at this point. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I could probably name like a million pieces where I'm just like...
And this was cool, and this was cool,
and that was cool.
Yeah.
And this quote, mind you, we have only seen this one time, so when we're discussing quotes, we're totally fucking paraphrasing.
Absolutely.
Because I was in awe. And the bitches, and that's why I do this, as you know, anybody who knows me knows, I don't do surprises.
No, you are all about the spoilers.
Birthdays, Christmases, anytime that there's something that's supposed to be a surprise, I don't do it. Like, I find out. My mom specifically has hated this since I was a child.
My wife hates this about me too.
So I was able to, earlier this week, find the entire plot synopsis. So I knew what the fuck was happening. There were a couple things that I didn't know about, and we'll get to those. But for the most part, I knew what was happening in this movie ahead of time.
Yeah, it was It's crazy. It's crazy. But let's get into it. Avengers, Infinity War, opening right where Thor Ragnarok left off.
Shit was going down. It was like a fucking Star Trek battle. Shit was happening. Thanos' ship was attacking the Asgardian ship, and there was a fucking distress call, and all that shit happened. And then you just go in, and there it is. Everybody's on their fucking ass.
Yep, and Ebony Maw is over there giving this epic speech about how their death is somehow more meaningful now that Thanos is behind the blade.
Yeah, they're sacrificing themselves for the greater good. That is Thanos'
That is a
reign.
purpose. And we see Hulk jump out.
Well, I think Loki delivers the perfect line there where he's like, "We have a Hulk."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, you do. I know where you guys... You're quoting Tony Stark right now."
We have a Hulk. And Hulk comes out and he's just like pummeling the ship.
Just plows into Thanos to let him know who the fucking man is.
And while he's, thinking that he's showing him where the bear shits, he, one of...
Corvus, no, not Corvus
Ebony
Glaive.
Maw.
Not even Ebony Maw. It's, Cull Obsidian is the big one. I have to keep remembering that. Like, the whole movie, I'm like, Proxima Midnight, Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, and Cull Obsidian. Because in the comic books, he's known as Black Dwarf.
Oh, right.
So, and the whole group is known as the Cull Obsidian.
Right.
So they switched the name out, and that was where it kept throwing me a loop.
Okay.
So Cull Obsidian gets ready to go and intervene on Thanos' behalf, and then
Ebony Maw is just like, no, let him play.
yeah, and then you just kind of see Thanos taking the hits, like, and you can see it's not even phasing him.
Not even.
But the thing is like him and the Hulk are roughly the same size.
Yeah.
Like I noticed.
Mm-hmm. And so, he gives him a few more hits, and then he gives him like a 2-piece to the body, and he pops him right in the face, and you can see Hulk feel pain, and it startles him.
Like that Nelson Muntz moment. You made me bleed my own blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Thanos just fucking lays into him, man. Thanos got moves, and he just put the Hulk out of commission.
Yeah, he gave it to him.
And then it was around that time we get our first death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my dude Heimdall.
Heimdall, in a last-ditch effort, Heimdall uses the Bifrost and shoots the Hulk out back to Earth.
Which in the comics is where we discussed when we did episode 2. Go download episode 2, Nerd Corporation, entitled Infinity Run the Jewels on the Infinity Gauntlet. Anyway, when we discussed that, where the parallels being when Silver Surfer crashed into the Sanctum Sanctorum and was like, Thanos is coming, pretty much mirrored that.
Yep.
With the Hulk.
Yep. Hulk got sent out. So when Heimdall sends the Hulk out, Ebony Maw tells him how big of a mistake that was.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
He's like, that's a big mistake. And then stab in the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Heimdall, the girl next to me, immediately was just like, no, Idris Elba, no.
Because,
every woman loves fucking Idris Elba. That dude that wants to be James Bond. I have no problem with him being James Bond.
I would love for Idris Elba to be James Bond.
I would absolutely love that. Why the fuck not? We can have a black Bond.
James Bond's just a code name.
Yeah. 007. 00 handsome.
Right?
So fucking, yeah, man. And then Loki starts pulling the Loki shit. Thanos is like, bitch, we came for the Space Stone. And Thor's like, nah, motherfucker, Space Stone was on Asgard. We just blew Asgard up.
And then Loki materializes the Space Stone in his hands.
Yeah, and then Thor says something along the lines of, I truly do hate you, brother.
Yeah, he says something to the effect of, you really are the worst, brother.
Yeah, some shit like that, in the handsome Chris Hemsworth way. And so fucking Thanos, takes the stone, puts it in the gauntlet. Thor goes to do some shit, and then Ebony Maw encases him in metal.
Yep, just like there's scrap metal all over the place, and so he just kind of encases Thor in it.
Yeah. And then Loki tries pulling his Loki words, and Thanos ain't having that shit.
So he grabs him by the throat and suffocates him.
So that's death number 2.
2 deaths in under 5 minutes.
Yeah. And Loki, if you ask me, died a horrible fucking death because
Yeah.
you just like his capillaries and his eyes burst.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like bleeding out the face.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible fucking death.
He's just like blue. It was pretty bad.
Gruesome, yeah. And then Avengers Infinity War. Ba, 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 ba. Like happy moment. Everybody's like, yeah.
Just completely forgetting that Heimdall and Loki had just died.
The whole fucking theater just erupted. Yeah. Oh God, I can't. I'm mixed emotions right now.
And just like Doc says, the Hulk ends up in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and just word for word, Thanos is coming.
And I love that moment too because I'm a huge fan of Doctor Strange and Wong, and they're like straight up discussing going and getting a sandwich, and Doctor Strange is like, "Bitch, you ain't got no money."
Yeah, he's like, "I've got 200 rupees."
How much does that equal in dollars?
Like $1.50.
For like, come on, Doctor Strange, you got how many fucking millions of dollars from being a fucking brain surgeon? You can't spot your boy a couple bucks for a sandwich?
Get that boy a sandwich. He's
Motherfucker
hungry.
wants a fucking tuna sandwich, man. Hook him the fuck up. Fuck, dude, it's not like he didn't help you fucking save the universe and shit.
Right? He only helped.
He died, and then you brought him back.
So, you kind of owe him a sandwich.
At least a fucking sandwich. Unless, like, fucking you do like Derek and give him a bajay.
Bajay.
A bajay. Yeah, Derek offered me a bajay in the theater. Which isn't the first time I've been offered a bajay in a movie theater. But not that, usually that type of movie theater. And usually from a shorter guy.
What's up? My name's Jim. You want to suck my cock for money?
$25 to touch it. $10 to see me touch it. Fucking
$50, and it'll cost you.
Ugh, gross.
Ugh.
No thanks. So, yeah, fucking Banner crashes, and then we cut to Tony and Pepper, and they're having a cutesy little discussion about having kids.
They're off on a nice little constitutional walk.
Just walking through the park, being Tony and Pepper, as cutesy as could be. And that's when I noticed that Gwyneth Paltrow has her earlobe pierced. Because that was a really good close-up shot. I was like, oh, look at your cute little Pepper Pot ear. Look at that.
I love Gwyneth Paltrow.
I like her. I was never a huge fan, but I like her as Pepper Potts. Especially, and aside from the fact that I have a thing for redheads.
Same.
But she looks really good as a redhead.
She does.
And I love that they didn't oversaturate the movie with her. Like, you realize that she's still a thing in Tony's life, and then Doctor Strange appears and he's like, Tony Stark, need you to come with me.
Yep.
And bam. Fucking Tony's like, well, who the fuck are you, Magic Man? And then Bruce Banner comes out and he's like, bitch, you need to come.
We need to go.
Like, this is some serious save the universe type shit. You need to be with me.
We need to go.
You need to get in the car now.
Get in, loser.
Not going to Disneyland.
Get all mean girls on him. Get in, loser. We're going to save the world.
That shit's real. Real as fuck. He tried to tell him that he could sit with us.
Yeah.
And then, so we get back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and Wong is telling everybody about the Infinity Stones and how they were created, which I thought was a cool little deal.
Yeah, I like that.
Give you a little backstory. Because, I mean, we got the backstory, I think, in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was a good little refresher.
I agree.
So, let's see. They discussed that shit at the Sanctum Sanctorum. Oh, and then there's that awesome dialogue between Doctor Strange and Tony Stark. Awesome as fuck. I love that interaction.
Yeah, they were just pretty much swinging dicks at each other.
Yeah, well, because both characters are super quippy.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I think it makes sense for them to be just back and forth.
Yeah, I agree. And they were just pretty much like, well, who the fuck are you? And, you know, the other one was like, who the fuck are you? Mm-hmm. You don't know who the fuck I am. And you don't know who the fuck I am.
Listen here, Harry Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at one point, Strange refers to Tony Stark as a douche.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the cherry on top for me. I was like, he's got your number, Tony Stark.
Right. He's like, how do you fit that head in that helmet?
Ah, loved it. And then, Doctor Strange's hair starts twitching. And Tony's like, are you making your hair move on your own? And Doctor Strange is like, no. And then they look outside, and people are running the fuck away.
From a giant metal donut.
Usually, when people are running, that's a bad sign.
Right?
Unless it's like in something harmless like the Boston Marathon. Oh, wait, people had to run.
Too soon.
Too soon. Oh, shit, I'm catching looks over here. Anyway, yeah, when people are running, you run with them to get away.
Oh, that's getting cut out.
No, it's not. You're going to leave it, and we're going to catch politically fucking incorrect comments.
Okay, good. Because I wasn't going to cut it out.
Good. Your wife can shoot me dirty looks. So yeah, people start running away. Obviously, the Avengers is Wong and Strange and Hulk and Banner run out there, and at the same time, they cut to a young Peter Parker on a school bus.
His hair starts to raise, and we see the spider sense.
Yeah, that was the first time we really got that. I was cool with it. I loved the brief Ned.
Yeah,
like we had discussed before. I love Ned Leeds. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even though they haven't said that that's his last name, but that's who that is.
Yep.
But yeah, so he's like, "Yo, Ned, distraction. Gotta get the fuck out of here." And Ned's just like, "Oh my god, we're all gonna die!"
And so all the kids rush to the back of the bus.
And then we get our Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, he's the bus driver.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I didn't even get to hear what he said because as soon as they saw Stan Lee, the entire fucking theater was just like, "Rah!" And I was like, you can't hear what the old man just said.
He said something to the effect of, it's like you guys haven't seen Traffic before. Or something like that.
Something like that. You kids have never seen Traffic before. A little side note on that one, because when we got back, you were like, that sucks. It's probably his last cameo.
I did. I thought it was his last one.
But last year, they filmed the next 5 Stan Lee cameos.
That makes my heart so happy.
And we've only gotten 2 or 3 of them. So we at least get maybe 2 more Stan Lee cameos.
That makes my heart so happy.
I wish they could have just filmed them all. The next 20 Stan Lee cameos. So, we'll just film maybe you on the toilet. And we'll just throw it in one of these movies.
Yep.
Somewhere in there. You can be in Captain Marvel is just some guy on a toilet. And we'll have a guy fly through your bathroom. And you'll just shit yourself right there.
Or we can just have you look out of windows and things.
You can be like in Daredevil or whatever fucking that movie was. Or no, I think it was Spider-Man, wasn't it? When he hangs out the window and he's like, "Hey, Margaret."
Yeah.
To the lady across the way.
Yeah, because I don't think he was in Daredevil. There was no Daredevil.
No, I'm talking about the Fox Daredevil.
Oh. Yeah.
The old one. Wasn't he in that? I swear to God he had a cameo in that.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Anyway. Got our Stan Lee cameo. Spider-Man rushes the fuck out. Puts on his suit. Iron Man's getting his ass kicked by Cull Obsidian in the worst way. And he's trying to get... the whole time they're trying to get Banner to Hulk out.
Yeah, and Hulk's not having it. He is refusing. He's like, "Come on, Hulk, let's do this." And then he turns, his face turns into the Hulk, and the Hulk's like, "No!" And he just swooshes back into
he slammed the door on Banner.
Yeah.
Banner's like, "Come get dinner!" He's like, "No!" Wham! Slams the door. Fucking.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was then that I don't know about everybody else, but I realized that Hulk was scared.
Yeah, I gathered that right out the gate when Banner couldn't Hulk out. I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of realize, oh shit, Hulk got fucked up. Hulk ain't trying to get fucked up again. That probably really bruised his ego.
He sat him down and got humble.
Yeah, he did. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. What? Anyway, so they're trying to get fucking Banner to Hulk out. I'm trying to remember shit. So, oh, by the way, fuck you to James Cameron. I want to throw that out there because he's still waiting for Avengers hype to die down, and that's not going to happen, bro.
Never, ever. You need to take your blue giants with hair genitals out of here.
You can be pissed off all you fucking want because Marvel hasn't asked you to make a fucking movie yet. 80s Michael Bay.
Explosions!
Fuck you, James Cameron.
Fuck you, James Cameron.
That shit is real. As long as Marvel's making movies like this, there will be no end to this shit. Anyway, so Iron Man's getting his ass kicked. He's come to the realization that Doctor Strange has one of the Infinity Stones hanging around his neck. And he's like, look, bitch, you need to fucking get the fuck away from here. Because they're coming for what's on your neck. And you need to go. And Strange is like, you're not my boss. I'm Doctor Strange.
I'm better than you.
Watch me do hand gestures and save the world.
Yep.
I think they really held true in this movie, by the way, to Doctor Strange being like one of the most powerful motherfuckers in the Marvel Universe.
Agreed.
Because he fucking held his own.
Mm-hmm.
And every moment that he got a really good shot in, the little kid in me was like, yeah!
Right? Woo! Let's do it!
So, this is where it gets good because, like I said, Cull Obsidian's beating the shit out of Tony. And then Spider-Man comes in out of nowhere.
Mr. Stark, need some help? What is this guy?
Who's this guy? What is this all about? And basically, Tony tells him they're trying to save a wizard.
Yeah, it's just like, there's a magic stone on a wizard and someone's trying to take it. I love the reference to Squidward.
Oh.
Tony calls Ebony Maw Squidward.
Yeah.
And the whole theater loses their mind.
Not today, Squidward. I laughed. I thought that was a good line. I think that's one of the things, like I said, I'd read the spoilers. One of the reasons that I still love to go see the movies afterwards is because though you're reading like plot details, you're not getting verbatim like dialogue.
Right.
So, same with this podcast, like you're not getting word for word what they said. Go see the fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's funny as shit. Mm-hmm. And that's proof positive right there, the Squidward line. So, Doctor Strange comes flying by because he's got that awesome cape that is sentient. Mm-hmm. Or as I think Drax calls it, a magic blanket.
That's like the carpet to his Aladdin.
Yeah, and it acts that way. Loved it. So the blanket saves him, and then that doesn't happen anymore. Ebony Maw ends up taking him up to space. Mm-hmm. And on their way up to space, Spider-Man just hangs onto the donut and starts to lose consciousness because they're too high up. And
so while he's losing consciousness, Tony calls on 17A, I think is what he called it. Mm-hmm. And
he says like unlock 17A.
Yep. And he this pod starts flying up into space. And so Peter Parker passes out and he's starting to fall. And you see this pod just encase him. And it's just this gorgeous Iron Spider nano suit. Which, cool. Because Tony Stark does the same thing. And he has an Iron Man nano suit.
I like the nano suit. I think it's a great way for Iron Man to, become this even more badass. When, right out the gate, when him and Cull Obsidian start fighting and he pulls the suit out, or rather the suit engulfs him, and the two fucking panels come out, or the 4 panels come off his back.
Oh yeah,
and shoot the fucking
major beam.
Yeah, the super fucking repulsor ray. Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh shit, he can do that.
Yeah, it was
love
cool.
the nano fucking Iron Man suit.
He's got a shield and shit.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's fucking called. It's the bleeding heart armor, I think. Is what it's called.
That's dope.
But anyway, yeah, that fucking new Iron Man armor is on point. And then, so they're in space. Spider-Man and Tony Stark get inside the donut, and then I think it cuts to the Guardians of the Galaxy after that.
And the Rubber Band Man is playing.
I think the Guardians of the Galaxy scenes were probably my favorite ones. Because, like I said, they had James Gunn write their dialogue. Yeah. So I don't think it would have had the same impact.
I agree.
Had James Gunn not written their dialogue.
It's true. But they come in and, Rubber Band Man's playing and they're like, it's a distress signal. And, Rocket's like, maybe we'll get paid. And they're like, but that's not why we're going.
Yeah, and then they make a hilarious joke about, well, what if Gamora's like, well, what if he doesn't have any money? And fucking Star-Lord's like, well, I guess we'll have to take his ship then. Fucking...
Gamora didn't like that very much.
No. And then they get there, they come out of fucking warp drive, and death. Lots of death.
Everywhere.
Just bodies floating through space.
And one of them hits the ship.
And it's Thor. And I was like, well, how are they going to know if he's alive? And then his eye opens, and I'm like, oh. I would say eyes, but at this point in the movie, Thor only has one of them.
Yep.
So they get Thor in, and I think that's one of my favorite interactions is when, like, Star-Lord's like, who's this dude? And Drax is like, that is not a dude.
That is a man.
You are a dude. This is a man. And he says something like, fucking, it's like a pirate and an angel had a baby. And I fucking lost it, dude.
Gamora's like reaching up his arm.
She's like, his muscles, that's like they're made out of metal. And fucking Star's like, will you quit feeling his muscles? Fucking. This shit is hilarious, man. I ain't even playing with you. Then, Mantis revives him because she's got those awesome mental powers.
Yep.
And Thor's like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you guys? And they're like, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy, bitch.
Yep. And he's like, I'm a god.
Right? And they're like, we know. Look at how awesome you are. Everyone except for Star-Lord. I love that interaction between Thor and Star-Lord because Star-Lord trying to be always the big dick in the room.
Right. He drops his voice to sound like Thor.
Yeah, and then he starts pronouncing his T's a little more, too.
This is my voice.
Yeah. Did you lower your voice just to talk to him? No.
This is my voice.
That shit was great.
Are you mocking me?
Are you mocking me? They fucking just go back and forth. It's the best fucking pissing contest on screen.
Really
I think
is.
the whole movie, that's probably the best pissing contest.
And it's cool because, like, who wins that pissing contest, right?
Thor, he's a fucking god, man. You're just... As cool as Star-Lord is, he's still a human, especially because, he canceled out his celestial powers in
Right.
Guardians 2.
Right. So he's, like, full-on human with guns.
Yeah.
And that's nothing.
No. And then Rocket pretends to be the captain of the ship because Thor is like, I assume you're the captain. And Rocket's just like, yeah, bitch. I'm the captain.
I like you. Come with me, Rabbit.
Yeah. I love that he calls him Rabbit the whole movie.
Yeah, throughout the whole movie.
I kept hearing, like, Daffy Duck talking to, like, Bugs Bunny. Listen here, Rabbit. Like, every time he calls him Rabbit, like, that's the first thing that pops in my head. So then, they decide to go separate ways. As Rocket puts it, they can send the morons to nowhere to see fucking Thanos. And then Thor and Groot and Rocket will go to Nivendil or Nibelheim.
Nivendil?
Yeah, that's the place where they built the hammer.
That's where Mjolnir was created.
Niederheimen. Whatever. Niverdillum.
Neverland.
Yeah. What is that? Second star to the right and straight on till morning. So that's where they take off, and then I think at that point they cut back to Earth, don't they? Mm-hmm. Where it's Scarlet Witch and the Vision, Scotland,
just chilling,
being all romantical. Because for those that don't know, in the comics, that's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Scarlet Witch and Vision becoming sexually active. Because why would Tony Stark make a robot and not give it a penis?
Right.
That's just not how he works. Anyway. They get all romantic. They're discussing how Vision has to go check in with Tony, and Scarlet Witch has to go check in with Cap, because we're still civil warring at this point in the movie.
Yep. So they're like the Romeo and Juliet of the superhero world.
And then bam, bitch! There's fucking Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive beating the shit out of both of them.
That was a pretty gnarly fight too.
Oh yeah, dude. Because fucking Vision gets stabbed like 3 fucking times.
Yep.
And all you see is just and blade coming out of chest.
Yep.
And just as they're about to get the and the highlight of that for me was how awesome Scarlet Witch was, utilizing her powers. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the best Olsen sister.
She really is the best Olsen sister.
Not like those 2 little troll dolls,
right?
That are the Olsen twins.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Dude, they did all of the drugs.
They really did.
They're probably fucking snorting that crocodile shit from Russia.
And like nothing, dude.
Dude, they could give Keith Richards a run for his money.
Right?
So shout out to you, Elizabeth Olsen, for not being that Olsen.
Right.
Or those Olsens. Whatever.
One of them.
They're the same. So she gets, some really good screen time, and they're about to die, and then what happens? You just see this fucking train, this subway train just fucking going.
You could see a shadowy figure in the back, just barely.
Proxima Midnight, it catches her eye, and you could see like this tinge of, what the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then sure as fucking shit, his beardedness steps out of the shadows. It's fucking Cap.
Yeah.
And
I think this is the first time I was ever excited to see Captain America.
I was pretty excited. And we've discussed how I'm not a huge fan of the red, white, and blue American Way characters.
Yeah. So, yeah, the same. So, when he came out, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I felt like that was exactly what Vision and Scarlet Witch needed, was Captain America, fucking Black Widow, and Falcon to save the day. Interesting choice of characters, too, to fight those aliens. And they go pretty much toe-to-toe, especially Black Widow, like, in Proxima Midnight. They get into it.
They get down.
A couple times in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, they get saved, and I think Anthony Mackie's like, where do we go from here? And Cap's like, home, bitch.
Let's go.
And I think, is that when they cut back to Tony and Spider-Man on the spaceship?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, Spider-Man comes out of nowhere, and Tony's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, bitch, I told you to go home. Like, I gave you an awesome new suit. Why the fuck are you here with me in space?
And he's like, you can't be a neighborhood Spider-Man if there's no neighborhood.
Which is a valid point.
And he's like, I know that didn't make sense. But.
Yeah. And then Tony tells him, hey, assess the situation, come up with a plan. And then Spider-Man, being awesome, makes one of his fucking classic movie references. Have you seen that really old movie, Aliens? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, it's not like Ebony Maw's trying to break out of fucking Doctor Strange's chest.
Right, and so at this point, he's, like, torturing Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And they come in, and they're like, okay, I'm getting ready to save you, and fucking Tony Stark blows a hole
In the side of the spaceship.
And
Ebony Maw in space.
it gets sucked
Frozen,
out.
death, crippled, looking all crinkled up like a dead spider.
And that was it. Like, that was it for Ebony Maw.
I was okay with that because I was, in my mind, I was like, well, what's he going to do? He can't come back from that. Like, if he comes back from that, I'm going to be pissed off.
Right.
Like, if all of a sudden they're getting ready to fucking, come to the fucking head of this scene and this act and Ebony Maw appears again. Like, no. I would have not been happy with that. So I was okay with him dying from that because it's fucking the vacuum of space.
Right. Nobody survives the vacuum.
Thor does, and that's about it. But he's a god, so we'll let that slide.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide, well, shit. Fucking Doctor Strange is like, we need to get back to Earth. And Tony Stark's like, no, that's where he expects us to be. Let's go where he doesn't expect us to be, which is where he's going to be at.
Which is Titan.
Mm-hmm. And then they cut to Star-Lord and them on Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get like the first taste of what the Gauntlet can do.
Right.
They're creeping up on Thanos beating the shit out of the Collector.
Which was great. Like,
Benicio del Toro is awesome.
He just dives into every role, no matter how small.
And I loved him as the Collector in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, so I was glad to see him come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I thought it was funny too because like Star-Lord is being a leader, with his military hand signals and shit, and nobody reads them because they're aliens. They don't fucking watch G.I. Joe. They don't know when you put your fucking closed fist up, that means stop moving.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, he starts giving orders like, you guys go to the right. And he gets in front of Drax because Drax just isn't listening. Drax don't give a fuck. Drax is like, bitch, I'm here to kill that guy.
So we're doing it.
As you saw in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax doesn't calmly do anything.
It's true. He's a very emotionally driven character.
Very emotionally driven. So, Gamora rushes out and stabs Thanos in the neck and then pulls out the dagger he gave her as a girl and stabs him in the heart with it. And I'm just like, what? Is that the end? No, it's not the end.
And then everything starts to dematerialize, and reality itself is coming back, and everything is fucked up. Nowhere is gone.
What I loved when everything starts to dematerialize is it all has like a red tinge to it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, he's already got the reality stone. Son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. And like, I was wondering as it got to like the Benicio, because he throws the collector into like a cage. Mm-hmm. And as it gets to him, like he's no longer in there. And I'm like, oh, that means he's dead. Yeah. So I guess that's another death that we can count in the death toll. That's 3 deaths at this point. Thanos gives some speech, and prior to this, one of my favorite scenes actually, you get that interaction between Gamora and Star-Lord where she's like, I know something Thanos doesn't know, so if he kidnaps me, you kill me.
Like if he captures me, you pull that trigger.
Like, you have to promise me that you'll kill me. And they turn around and Drax is standing there eating some fucking candy. And they're just like, how long have you been standing there? And he's like, an hour. And they're just like, what the like, I laughed my ass off. And he's like, fucking, I have mastered the art of concealing myself. If I stand completely motionless, it's like I'm invisible. And then, like, he's, like, slowly moving his arm up to his face. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Like, you're not invisible. My moves are so deliberate.
Yeah, and then fucking Mantis sees him, is just like, fucking, hi, Drax. He's just like, damn it, and walks away. Fucking. So that was the scene that we skipped over. But yeah, so Thanos grabs Gamora, and he's getting ready to dip, and she looks at Peter, and she's like, bitch, kill me. And, you know, emotionally conflicting point, and Thanos straight up puts her fucking face to the tip of fucking Star-Lord's gun.
And he's like, do it.
Do it. Pull the trigger, motherfucker.
And then Drax and Mantis come out, and Drax gets turned into building blocks.
Yeah, like he's rushing at Thanos, and Thanos just like waves his hand, and fucking Drax is like ABC blocks. Yep. And then Mantis is rushing at him, and he fucking waves his hand again, and she becomes like a Jack in the Box.
Yeah, it's like a ribbon.
Yeah. And then Star-Lord gets ready and pulls the trigger, and what comes out of his gun? Bubbles. Like the most fucking letdown ever. Like you accept the fact that you're gonna have to kill the woman you love, and you can't because bubbles.
Yeah, and then like the gun dematerializes, and Thanos is gone.
Oh man. And then I think we cut back to Earth, and it's like Steve Rogers and them rolling up on War Machine, who's arguing with General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross.
Yep.
And then Cap walks in, and General Ross is like, arrest them, and fucking War Machine's like, word, on it, and then just ends the conversation with the General. And he looks at Cap, and he's like, that's a court-martial. You know, and then they discuss Avengers things and so on and so forth.
They're discussing the destruction of the Mind Stone.
Yeah. Well, and then you get like that touching little moment between Bruce and Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, ScarJo.
Dude, her as a blonde, I'm not even playing. I was just like, damn, I don't even like blondes. But you, girl, in that leather, yeah. By the way, the Nerd Corporation is pro-consent. We would never intentionally offend Scarlett Johansson, as we, want her to come back and try and be a guest on our show again.
Yeah.
So, all of that. We love you, ScarJo. Anyway, then they cut to Wakanda. No, they go back to space. Mm-hmm. And
that's when the Avengers versus Guardians happens.
No, that was after Gamora sees Nebula being tortured.
Oh, that's true.
Thanos is trying to butter up Gamora, like, you're my favorite, like, I've always loved you. You get somewhere in this, prior to anywhere where we're at in this discussion, too, a little backstory on Gamora and Thanos, where he goes to her planet and destroys half her people, and for some reason just likes her and pulls her aside, and essentially just decides that this is his favorite person, because she's just like this cute little green kid. Mm-hmm. He's just like, come here, little one, look at this awesome knife, it's balanced like I want the universe to be. So I'm gonna kill half of everyone. Look at the knife.
Yeah, and then like behind Gamora and Thanos, you see Thanos' army just slaughtering all these people.
And she goes to look, and he's just like, "Nope, knife. Look over at the
grabs her by the chin and
do something with the knife."
Here's a knife. Do something with the knife.
So then, fast forward, Gamora's his prisoner, and he goes and he's like, I thought you might want some food, babe. And he gives her like a bowl of food, and she fucking hucks it at the wall, and she's like, "Bitch,
fuck you. Fuck you and your throne. I hate this thing.
I fucking always hated that throne. I hate this room." She's like acting like a spoiled child at that point to me, and she's just like, "Fuck you," and then
this is the point where we see I think you put it really well last night, is where the villain always sees himself as the hero of his own story.
Yeah, I think that's true with any good villain. They make you conflicted whether or not you're going to root for them or at least understand their cause.
Yep. And I think the writing in that scene really helped make at least me see the cause in Thanos' evil.
Yeah. Well, especially because he explains that, he destroyed half of her population because they were
dying.
They were dying out. They were starving themselves. They had no more fucking food on the planet for people to grub, and life was just horrible. And now her homeworld is a paradise because he destroyed half of the population.
It's true.
He's like, none of the kids starve. Like, everybody knows happiness. Mm-hmm. And that's when you kind of like, oh, well, I guess he's kind of right. Like, if you're a populationist and you realize that, the earth is only so big and we only have so many resources, like, at some point we're going to have to find a way to kill half of ourselves just to survive.
Just a culling.
Yeah. Oh, man. So you kind of empathize with Thanos at that point, I think. And then, back to reality, he pulls her into the torture chamber where fucking Nebula's getting fucking worked on.
That was one of the roughest things to see.
Oh, dude, he has her fucking hemmed up. Like, she's just suspended in midair and just ripped to shit. Mm-hmm. And that's when he gets the information out of Gamora about where the Soul Stone is. And then we cut to Titan, and that's when we get the Avengers. Because Nebula breaks out of the prison after Thanos and Gamora leaves, and then messages Mantis and is like, meet me on Titan. And then we cut to Titan, and it's the Avengers and the Guardians going at it.
And they go at it for like a brief minute, and they're like, we're gonna kill you and Thanos. And we're like, what? We're gonna kill you and Thanos? Wait, you guys aren't working for Thanos? Wait, you guys aren't working for Thanos?
Oh, we're all here to kill Thanos.
Okay, so we're friends now.
Yeah, pretty much that's what happens. And then, they wait. And then we go back to Earth, where Steve Rogers and them are meeting with our boys on Wakanda. The Dora Milaje and fucking Black Panther and Shuri, our favorite little sister. Mm-hmm. And
your favorite little sister? I haven't seen the movie
you
yet.
haven't seen that movie yet. Anyway, totally love that movie. Go see Black Panther. But they sit and discuss how to get the Mind Stone out of Vision's head, that there's a giant battle coming, that they need to be ready for that shit. And then we cut back to Thanos, who is on the planet
Vormir.
Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Where, they arrive and there's this hooded, shrouded, fucking ominous figure there.
It looks like the devil himself.
I thought it was like the mess. Like, okay, so in the comic books, Death communicates to Thanos through an emissary.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought that that's what that was going to be. I was like, oh, so maybe they are going to have like this be a thing where Lady Mistress Death is the plot driving force here. Mm-hmm. And this thing's basically telling Thanos, like, I'm cursed to be here and know every being that seeks the Soul Stone. And they're like, and he's like, and who are you? And then sure as shit, the shadowy figure moves forward, and it's the Red Skull. Like,
total surprise.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, I read spoilers, and I didn't see that, and it wasn't in any of the spoilers I read that the Red Skull was going to return. So I fucking lost that shit. because I've been wondering since Captain America what the fuck happened to the Red Skull.
And it's funny, I actually knew that the Red Skull was going to be there.
Really?
Yeah, there's a nerd page that I follow, and they're like, please don't post spoilers for Avengers, and blah, blah, blah. Or no. The thing says, spoilers don't ruin movies, right?
Uh-huh.
And in that comment space was a picture of the Red Skull on Vormir, like right as he gets shown.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know, so I was really taken back by that. And then Red Skull leads Thanos and Gamora up to the top of this peak and explains that the Soul Stone isn't like the other fucking Infinity Stones, that it's kind of... it holds wisdom over the other stones.
And the reason that it requires a sacrifice.
Yeah. And you have to sacrifice something you love. And that's when Gamora's like, ha ha, bitch, you lose. You don't love anything.
The universe answered your call and said no.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh. And then Thanos turns around and he's just like crying, like very visibly tears running down his face. And I'm like, uh-oh.
And she's just like, oh, really, dude? Like fucking tears?
And then Red Skull's like, they're not for him, they're for you. And you just immediately realize, as she does right then, that, oh, fuck, she's done. And she pulls out the dagger that he gave her, and she goes to stab herself in the stomach, and bubbles!
I think that's so funny that out of all things, Thanos thinks bubbles.
They're harmless, Eddie Lion.
But
you're going to kill yourself? Try doing that with bubbles.
Yeah.
You can't kill yourself with bubbles, not even if you tried.
But I mean, like, he could have just made it disappear, or he could have turned it into ash, or he could have done
Because
anything cool with it.
They're defeating.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like you get a little taste of the fact that Thanos has a little bit of humor inside of him.
Yeah, he does. Well, Eddie Lion, one doesn't usually consider fun when balancing the universe. But this movie brought a smile to my face.
Yeah.
So, I guess if we throw the Collector in there, this is the fourth death in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos just fucking ragdolls Gamora off the cliff. He's just like, well, you're done.
You know how, like, when you grab children by the arm and tug them toward you and they're resisting? That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
He, like, grabbed her by the arm, tossed her over the cliff.
Like so much old spaghetti.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then she was gone. And then, we flash to the Avengers again on Earth. And then that's when Thanos' army starts landing.
And that fight on Wakanda.
Oh my god, dude, that shit was epic. I commented in the middle of that I can't, and we'll research. Like I said, we're still fresh off this movie, but I don't think that the Chitauri were the army that was used in this movie.
I don't think it was the Chitauri.
But whatever those creatures were, they looked like what Venom should look like.
Generic?
No, they looked very fucking symbiote. They're symbiote.
Ah, you said it.
I did, because that's what they did in the fucking trailer.
You said it.
They look very symbiotic in this movie. Fuck you, Eddie Lion.
They don't look symbiotic at all.
They dumb. Do. Especially when they make a remark of what their teeth look like. Even one of the guys, I think it's like Anthony Mackie's just like, have you seen the teeth on those things?
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever, hater.
Doesn't look... You're the hater.
Whatever, Eddie Lion. Just because I didn't think Venom looked... But in all honesty, after stewing on the Venom trailer for a couple days, there's not a scenario that I can see ever where they could make Venom not look cheesy.
You're just a hater.
No, dude. Like, seriously, because if you think about it, like, when he's like, we are Venom, like, say Venom.
Venom.
Uh-huh. Now say Venom with all your teeth sticking out like this.
We are Venom.
No, like this. Don't move your lips.
Venom.
We are Venom. So there's no scenario where you don't look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let alone having to CG something that's never been CG'd before and looked good. So
whatever, you're just a hater.
I'm letting it slide is what I'm fucking getting at, you piece of shit. Fuck, man.
Your own son called you a hater.
I know he did. That's probably why I'm reconsidering my position on it.
Happy birthday, Nikki.
Yeah, damn it. Happy birthday, you bastard. Anyway, fucking so love the interaction between the Avengers and the aliens.
It got to a point where the aliens were overrunning and were flanking.
Everything.
They were flanking the dome, and the only solution was to open up a piece of the dome and let
the
them
hot gates,
funnel
bro. It became the 300.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I thought of too. I was like, the 300. Make them fucking come through the hot gates. And I'm telling you, man. Like I said, Lingo's biggest qualm, it seemed like, was with that battle scene in Wakanda. You don't really see the Black Panther shine so much. But like I said, like, in that scenario with like hundreds of thousands of aliens rushing you, you know, they're sacrificing themselves literally just to get their point across. And I don't see Cap and Black Panther holding their own for terribly often, let alone like Black Widow and Michonne and all that shit.
What is that? What is Michonne's name?
In the shit? I don't fucking know.
I'm just gonna call her Michonne.
She's what she is, dude. She's the lethal fucking samurai chick that kills zombies and protects the king of Wakanda.
Yep.
Should the zombie apocalypse come,
they're all set.
T'Challa's safe.
Yep.
So there's all that shit going on, and then, you know, we cut back to Titan, and Thanos arrives, and Doctor Strange is just chilling there like, "What's up, bitch? Came home. I assume this is your home." And then Thanos, you know, waves his hand and shows Doctor Strange what Titan looked like before
he killed it.
Well, in explaining it, Thanos explains that they didn't listen to his warning when they started to get overpopulated and their resources ran thin. And basically he was just like, and this is what happens when you don't listen to Thanos. And then they get in this huge fucking fight. All this shit goes down. And they almost get the fucking gauntlet from fucking Thanos. Like, this fucking close,
yeah,
dude.
like, literally, it's on his fingertips, and Star-Lord realizes that he's killed Gamora.
Yeah. Yeah, because Nebula basically breaks it to him. She's just like, well, think about it. Him and Gamora went to get the Soul Stone, and he came back without Gamora and the Soul Stone. What could have happened to her? And then Peter Quill realizes, oh, fuck, there goes my space wench.
And he's just like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you do that? And then he fucking punches him in the face while Mantis is still trying to get the hold on him.
And done at that point.
And so Spider-Man's like about to, like, he pretty much slipped it off of him.
Frog hair away, man.
And Thanos just like pincer clasps onto the gauntlet and tosses Spider-Man out into the oblivion.
Can I just say that Thanos dominates everyone he comes into contact with in this movie?
Effortlessly.
Like, just brushes them off his shoulder every fucking fight. Like and
that one containment that they had while they were trying to get the glove off was probably the only time that I felt hope.
Yeah.
For the heroes.
But you knew it wasn't going to end up well.
Nope.
And then Thanos just destroys everybody, brings a moon down on top of fucking Tony Stark.
That was great.
Oh my god, yes. And it's just the overall interaction of all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, and we forgot to talk about how Thor's getting his hammer rebuilt during this thing's going on too.
Oh, that's true. Sometime it's in between. I think it's in between the war on what it's.
It says they're getting to Wakanda, and as Thanos is getting the Soul Stone. I think.
Yeah, right in between that.
Thor and Rocket and Groot arrive in Niederheimen.
Yeah.
And they fucking meet Peter Dinklage, who is a 12-foot dwarf.
Yeah.
Which is an oxymoron. But I love that Peter Dinklage is like pretty much Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like just defeated Tyrion Lannister. Like he's just like, and then Thanos came, and here I am with metal hands. No longer will I jerk off.
Right? That's the worst part.
And then Thor's like, it's okay, bud. Like, you can help me build a hammer still. And then, you know, they build the hammer or axe known as Stormbreaker, which made its first appearance in the comics when Beta Ray Bill proved himself worthy to pick up Mjolnir.
Right.
So Odin was like, well, shit, if you can pick up Mjolnir, then you get to have your own fucking hammer yourself. Have a Stormbreaker.
Yep, and he says we have to restart the star
The dying star. Because remember, Odin explains to Thor that Mjolnir was forged in the heart of a dying star. So they get all that going on. Probably one of my favorite fucking interactions is when Thor explains that he's just going to open the eye to the forge itself and let himself get hit by all of the power of the dying star. And Peter Dinklage is like, but you'll die. Or no, it'll kill you is what he says. He's like, but it'll kill you.
And he's like, not if I don't die.
And then fucking Peter Dinklage is like, but that's the point.
That's how it works.
You're gonna die. Like I love that. I love that interaction, and I love the emotion from Peter Dinklage as he's explaining why he built the Infinity Gauntlet for Thanos, because he really had no choice. And in the end, Thanos still fucking punished him.
Yeah, he destroyed every living thing.
All of the dwarfs that were on this dying star space station.
And left him alone with smelted hands.
Yeah, those are like some serious smelted hands.
Yeah.
They look like big, strong hands. Shout out to the Neverending Story. So, fast forward. Wakanda's getting its ass kicked. Thor gets his ass kicked. And Groot sacrifices his hammer. Or his arm. To build the handle for Stormbreaker.
Yeah, he clasps onto either side of the axe and brings it up and chops his arm off, and there goes the handle to Stormbreaker.
Which I thought was awesome.
I thought that was way cool.
Especially because you don't really get much from Groot in this movie. He's just kind of like a brooding teenager the whole movie.
It's true. Right at the beginning, like right before they get to the distress signal, they're like, Groot, put that away. I'm serious. And he's like, I am Groot.
I was just like, whoa, language. I think that was in one of the trailers too. But that really is the tone for Groot for the whole movie.
Yeah, he's just got his head into the Space Invaders 80s game.
Yeah. And so then, Groot makes a sacrifice. Thanos gets well, first off, Thanos fucks everybody else up on Titan. And then he stabs Tony. Like, he beats the shit out of Tony Stark.
But him and Tony Stark get down.
Yeah,
dude.
they do. Tony puts up a really good fight. That nano armor is insane. And every time Thanos rips a chunk off Iron Man, the nano armor replaces itself. Up to the point to where it just can't do it anymore. Like, the armor can't work fast enough to replace what Thanos is destroying. And then Thanos gets the fucking dagger into the kidney. And Tony Stark is like, fuck, I'm dead.
Like, this is it.
And that's when Doctor Strange is like, no, don't kill him. Here's the time stone.
Yep. I think that dialogue, while Tony Stark is like clenching onto life between him and Thanos, was great, because he's just like, Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know me? He goes, I do. I too am cursed with knowledge.
Yeah. I love, well, it harkens back for me to the first Avengers, because of course Thanos is going to know the guy that threw a nuke at his forces and stopped his invasion of Earth.
Right.
And then, a lot of people, as I was reading my spoilers, were pissed off that Doctor Strange would just give the time stone to Thanos.
No, it had to.
Yeah, it was a plot point. It was him saying, and he even said it to Tony Stark, it's the only way.
Yep. And, like, not only is it the only way as far as the story goes, but it's the only way to move the story along.
Yeah, and I think because Doctor Strange at one point is viewing the future, and he says there's like 14 million outcomes, and only one of those outcomes do they win. So I think Doctor Strange knew by sacrificing the time stone and himself ultimately that was what they had to do.
And so he gives him the time stone, and he's like, well, one more to go.
And then he takes off to Earth and leaves, the defeated Guardians and half the Avengers on Titan. And then when he arrives on Earth, all of his forces on Earth pull back. Like, they just start to leave. They're like, well, fuck it.
Not only do they pull back, but Thor comes.
Oh, yeah. Thor comes with fucking Stormbreaker and just messes everybody. The theater was going fucking wild when he came out of nowhere. Because and Peter Dinklage mentions that Stormbreaker has the power to control the Bifrost. So now Thor can just freely travel wherever the fuck he wants because he has this badass hammer / axe. and he just comes through and dominates. And I love there's a little interaction between him and Cap, where he's like, Cap, and Captain America's like, oh, I see you got a new haircut, and Thor's like, oh, I see you copied my beard. They still maintain a little bit of humor in the seriousness of the climate of the movie.
Another interaction I loved during that scene was when Thor introduces Captain to Groot.
And Groot's like already fighting all these people up, and he's like, I am Groot.
And Cap's like, I am Steve Rogers.
I thought that was so good. And then, they're getting their ass kicked still, even though they have Thor in there. And then Thanos comes and all of their forces pull back.
Yep.
And, another scene that I loved in that battle too was when Bucky and Rocket are back to back, and then Bucky just picks up Rocket and fucking starts spinning with him.
Right, like he's got his arms out, like he's got two guns.
But one of those is Rocket,
yeah,
and then he puts him down, and Rocket's like, hey, how much for the gun? And fucking Bucky's like, you ain't getting it. And he's like, all right, well, how much for the arm?
Yeah.
And Bucky just walks away. I was just like, yeah, he did.
We're also, while this battle on Wakanda's going on, we see Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster armor.
Yeah, which is what Derek didn't like. Derek didn't like a Hulk Banner.
Well,
Bruce.
I mean, it was like, it looked, and I think this is crazy because it's like the Hulkbuster armor was believable, so much so that I'm like, oh, gross. It was really poorly added on. His head was.
Yeah, but like I said, considering the gravity of the movie, I let it slide. Like if that's the low point in the movie, they're fine.
Yep.
So I was like meh, with that. Like I noticed it, and it wasn't like Henry Cavill's fucking mustache. It definitely wasn't that bad.
Fuck you, Mission Impossible.
Oh god, dude. And then Thanos comes. Right then, Scarlet Witch realizes she has to destroy the Mind Stone, which is trapped in Vision's head. And Vision's, you get this heartfelt exchange between the two, where he's like, I'm sorry that it had to be you, but it has to be done.
And have a wonderful time.
And you're the only one that can do it. You have to destroy the Mind Stone, thus killing me.
And so she starts. She starts ripping into the Mind Stone.
And Thanos just starts marching towards her, and then all the Avengers attack Thanos. And he just effortlessly brushes all of them off, like crushes War Machine's armor around him. Fucking the only person that even fucking kind of stops him a little is Cap. And even then, like, you see like this, there's like a brief moment in Thanos' eyes where you see like, holy fuck, this little man is really trying to stop me, and then he just pounds him to the ground and walks off.
He punches him in the. I think he's like that's the first. That's the only character I see that isn't like armored or like safe in their face. Where Thanos just punches him in the mouth, dude. Like
knocks his ass out right there in the dirt.
Fucking
Boom.
Nails him.
Done.
And I'm just like, oh my god, like that's a human being. Like that, if any other human being would have killed him.
Yeah, but luckily he's super soldiered out and was able to take that punch. And then right as Thanos gets to fucking Scarlet Witch, she destroys the fucking Mind Stone, and there's this huge explosion, and then she's just left there in the dust crying. And Thanos, being the ever sympathetic Titan that he is,
he's like, "Don't cry, child."
Yeah, he's like, "I understand. Like, I went through shit today too. I lost a bunch of shit.
Not. We're gonna bring this guy back.
Yeah, just to kill him again right in front of you.
Right? You get to see the love of your life die twice in front
like
of you.
Fucking 5-minute span.
So Thanos gets up, uses the Time Stone, and brings him back, and grabs him by the throat, picks him up into the air, and just plucks it out of his fucking face,
and tosses Vision's lifeless gray body to the side.
No color, just all goes gray, and he's dead.
Yep. And then Thor comes in out of nowhere and fucking hurls Stormbreaker at Thanos, and it hits him in the chest.
Right in the chest. And at this time, he's already added the Mind Stone to the gauntlet.
So he's got the full gauntlet.
He's got the entire Infinity Gauntlet.
And the hammer hits him in the chest, and he looks really fucking phased by it. Like, just like, ugh. And Thor gets all in close, and he's just like, oh, bitch, I told you were going to regret that shit, huh? Yeah, it tastes so good. Hammer in the chest.
Yeah, and then Thanos is like, oh, bro, you should have gone for the head. And
snaps his fingers, and then drops back into a force field. And fucking Thor's just like, what did you do? And then he fucking drops back in the force field. And when I had read the spoilers, they were like, he must have fucking snapped his fingers off screen to bring up the next part. No, man, he snapped his fingers right fucking there. Mm-hmm. And, like, you hold the Infinity Gauntlet. Shit doesn't have to wait one for the other. Like, shit can happen simultaneously.
Right.
So the motherfucker snaps his fingers, drops back into a force field. Bucky comes running up. He's like, Cap, what's happening? And fucking Ash just disappears. And then all over everywhere you start to see that all of like the Wakanda warriors and shit are starting to dematerialize. Black Panther goes to pick up Michonne and he's like, this is no place to die. And then he turns to Ash.
Falcon turns to Ash.
At this point in the theater, like, this is what I love about reading spoilers ahead of time. Like, I knew this was coming. So for me to watch the reactions of everybody in the theater, to have them just be like the whole fucking loud ass theater became dead ass silent.
Yeah, you could hear a pin drop
in the middle of this, all of this. Yeah, and everybody in the theater had their hands over their faces. They're just, no,
and so people just start to dematerialize. Falcon dematerializes. Who else?
War Machine got left over.
Yeah, War Machine got left.
Really, in the end, after everybody dies, like Groot dies.
Yeah, like all of the Guardians minus Rocket go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all of the Avengers minus like Cap, Black Widow, Iron Man, Thor, essentially like the main Avengers, because Hulk doesn't disappear either. So I think the main six, because we don't know where Hawkeye is and we don't know where Ant-Man is in this movie. We assume that they're okay because they're going to be in the next movie.
Right. I think Spider-Man's was like the worst one for me.
Dude, I knew he was gonna die, and I still wasn't ready for that shit.
The Guardians dematerialize, and then all of a sudden you hear Mr. Stark. I don't feel so good. And he like walks over him and he like hugs him and he's like holding him tight and he's like, I don't want to go. And then like he drops to the ground and
he says he's sorry.
He apologized to him for dying.
Yeah. And you just see it hit Tony. Like, I think Spider-Man's the closest thing to a kid Tony Stark has.
Yeah, and then, like, the girl to the left of me is tearing.
Dude, the girl to the right of me was tearing. I think
sobbing.
Everybody in that theater, you could, like... There was one dude I saw 2 rows in front of me, like, rubbing his eyes and trying to not look like he was crying. And I was, like, in my mind, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, yeah, you are, you tough son of a bitch. Because it's a very emotionally hard-hitting point, and I mean, really, I just love Tom Holland more for the way he pulled that off.
Yeah, absolutely.
He killed that shit, and then you're really left on this shitty fucking moment. Everybody dies, literally everybody fucking dies.
Yeah,
and then that's it. That's the end of it.
Yep.
And then
we cut to this grassy mountainous area.
And Thanos is there, looking all fucking tired, and takes his fucking armor off and puts it on a fucking scarecrow, just like the way the Infinity Crusade comic starts.
He sits down,
takes a breath.
Black.
End of it. Whole theater was just like, no!
Yeah, I think Doc and I were the only ones that were like, yeah!
Yes! And everybody was just like, no! Shut up! No! And then, as per all movies, there's always a stinger at the end. And for the last couple movies, there's been 2 stingers. But this one, they just did the one. Mm-hmm. And so when it came time for there to possibly be the first stinger, and it didn't happen, everybody was like, what the fuck? Are you fucking serious right now? And I had to, like, scream out. I'm like, there's only one after credit scene.
And it was this time where I took my leave. Because I had
break.
Yeah, I had to piss so bad, and I held it for like 2 hours because I'm like, I'm not fucking missing that.
And then he comes back, and we got an after credits scene. And Eddie Lion, I'm gonna let you describe the after credits scene.
So it's Nick Fury and it's Maria Hill, and they're talking about what's going on in Wakanda, and they're talking about trying to get reinforcements. And all of a sudden, this car just flies in front of them. And they're like, what the fuck? So they get out and they walk over to Maria Hill walks over to the car, and Sam Jackson's like, is everyone okay? She's like, there's nobody there. And then Maria Hill dematerializes. And then we cut over to Sam Jackson. He's trying to call in reinforcements, and then he starts to dematerialize. And I think that was my favorite part of the stinger was, like, right before he dematerializes, he's like, Ash.
And he hits the button on the pager, and it drops, and then you just see it dialing, like it says dialing, and then it gives, like, period, period, period. And then all of a sudden, there's a symbol, and end of the fucking thing. And that symbol was
Captain Marvel.
It was Captain Marvel's chest emblem, and then the screen goes red and blue, and it looks like her uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the end, and Eddie and I both, yes! Like, fucking, and, like, we even had a guy come up to the theater, he's like, what does that even mean? Like, what's that symbol? Like, we figured you guys got excited over it, so...
We thought you'd know.
We'd ask you guys. So, I'd say I'd give the movie a fucking 10.
10.
Easy. Even despite the shitty Hulk CG or the Hulkbuster CG, and then, you know, a couple minor discrepancies, but nothing that I would say it was in any way a bad movie. And then, so here's my theory, Eddie Lyon.
Mm-hmm.
We had discussed this last night. I think the people that died by Thanos' hand prior to him having the gauntlet and snapping his fingers will remain dead.
I agree.
So Heimdall, Loki, Collector, Gamora, and possibly Vision, but I'm not leaving that. I'm going to kind of throw that one out there. Like, maybe. I don't think that one's going to stick.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to stick.
But everybody that died as a result of the gauntlet, I think will come back.
Absolutely.
And here's how I think that works.
Okay.
The Soul Stone in the comics has its own little Soul Stone world. Like,
right.
Within itself.
And that's where Adam Warlock lives.
Yeah, and they have to... They even stated in the movie, like, the Soul Stone feeds off live souls. So I think what happened was Thanos snapped his fingers, and everybody went into the Soul Stone.
So everybody's living in the Soul
Stone. Soul Stone right now. I think all of those heroes are trapped inside the Soul Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how we'll get them back, because... In the comics, Nebula gets the fucking gauntlet and rights all of the wrongs. And in doing so, gives Thanos back the gauntlet and all of that. And then we end up with a, horrible decision that he has to make. Am I a villain? Am I not a villain? Am I beyond villain? Am I the cosmos? So I think somehow or another, because Nebula was also left behind, she lived. So I think that she's the only personal connection we have to Thanos. And that she is going to basically tell everybody, okay, so this is where I think Thanos is, and this is where we're going to have to go to fuck him up. And then they'll catch him off guard. Nebula will get the gauntlet, reverse all of the shit, and in doing so, take her villain arc to the next level. And then that's where the Avengers will need Thanos to help defeat Nebula, who is using a gauntlet she doesn't know how to control.
I can totally subscribe to that.
Yeah. So that's my theory as to what will happen. I don't know that we're going to get the Mistress Death arc like I had kind of anticipated prior to this, like them using Hela as Mistress Death.
Right.
But all in all, great movie. Can't wait till next year. I can't wait. By the end of the year, we'll have a trailer for the next movie, and we'll have a title and everything else. So it's all just a matter of patience. Before you know it, we'll be seeing Avengers Infinity War Part 2, whatever the fuck the name of the title is. Because it absolutely leaves for a Part 2. It ends on the most amazing cliffhanger. And it's absolutely a fucking cliffhanger. Like, so many people were pissed off at the end of that movie.
Best
that's how it ended.
cliffhanger ever.
It just made me so fucking happy to watch everybody. It was like watching everybody get pissed at once was just the cherry on top for me.
It really was.
Yeah. So that was our spoiler-filled review of the Avengers Infinity War.
10 out of 10. Go watch it. Go watch it a ton of times.
And then listen to this episode again and see how you feel, if you agree with us on what we did. I think this is our longest running episode so far.
It really is.
We just had a lot to fucking talk about.
We really did.
For those that were expecting the Pokemon episode, it will be out next week. As this was just kind of like an emergency thing. We wanted to get it while it was still fresh and get it in so that people could hear our review. If you are looking to comment or let us know how you felt about the Avengers movie, you can hit us up on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at the Nerd Corp podcast, or on Facebook, it's the Nerd Corporation. Give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube, and like I said, feel free to comment and let us know how you feel about this shit.
Please, there's a comment section below. Go ahead and comment on it. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what you liked, what you disliked. We can talk about it at a later date.
Or even, if you don't want to be one of those dicks that post spoilers for everybody to see, you can always instant message us or direct message us on any of our various pages, and Eddie and I will be promptly happy to respond at our earliest convenience.
So for the Nerd Corporation, my name is Eddie Lyon.
And I'm Dr. Nick.
And keep looking to the cosmos.
Keep looking to the skis. I mean, sky.